care for mental health professionals. All of us, all the time, we keep hearing, talking about why mental health is important, why mind care is important. And what about the people who do this? That is also equally important. And I'll share my journey from my childhood. I was a very shy and nervous kid, and I had a lot of challenges on trying to fit into other people's expectations. Even this picture on the left, I still remember how nervous I was when the picture was being clicked. To becoming a more confident and a person who's comfortable with my own self, and to becoming a therapist, there has been a journey and a lot of learning experiences. One such experiences was when I was in my postgraduate program. I witnessed about 4 suicides in 2 years, 6 months each, a gap of each, and it was 2 of my cousins, 1 close friend, and a relative. And that shook me, and it made me feel I want to do something about this. I want to be there for people who are in need, and to become a therapist, to hear people and do something about this. And in this process, when I became a therapist now since 15 years, I have observed that being a therapist, counselor, psychologist, or a professional, there are a lot of challenges that we ourselves go through during these therapy sessions. And I thought now is the time that I talk more about it. When we try to sort out problems of other people, we are also trying to struggle with our own issues deep within, and this is something that we need to really talk about. And I did realize there are a few things that are very important to mention, especially things like a lot of emotional fatigue. When you're trying to understand somebody else, empathize, being there in their shoe, there's a lot of exchange of energy, trying to be there for them. There's a lot of draining that happens, especially with somatic type of empathy, which means that you are actually feeling and sensing the trauma or the pain that the other person goes through. And that also brings in a lot of pain and trauma to the person who's dealing with it. Sometimes it's very difficult to also not get too involved with the therapist. It could be both ways, either ways, and that is something a counselor or therapist has to be all the time careful about, where to draw the line, how much to be involved, because empathy means when you're doing a lot of emotional work, you can get carried away. And on a very lighter note, sometimes fatigue and burnout can make you feel you fall asleep. That's on a lighter note, but that does happen. There's a lot of exertion and there's a lot of tiredness when we have to be there, the presence of mind for another person, to hear them out, hear their stories and challenges and deal with it. But what actually brings one down is the expectations of the society. As a psychologist, as a therapist, there are so many expectations of being perfect. Like I said, in my childhood, I was always trying to fit into the expectations of others. And even now, as a psychologist, they expect you to be perfect in all situations, all the time, empathetic, whether it's personal life or professional life. At all times, you are expected to be perfect. Nobody asks a doctor or a surgeon, why do you fall sick, or why don't you do your own surgery? But a mental health professional is expected to be perfect in their mental health. That is the kind of expectation people do have from professionals like us. And this is something that I keep reminding people, that we are not psychology expert robots, we are humans too. And we have emotions as well. We also feel like crying, we also have pain in us that we deal with a lot of times. And it's not always possible to share, because there's a lot of stigma around how can you be having a problem? Oh, you're a psychologist, you're a counselor, how can you have an issue? And we end up putting this smiling face all the time, burying all our emotions back and not letting that be shown to the others, because we have to be there for the others, and that is what is a concern that we need to deal with. We need to accept this is what I'm going through and I want to work on this and seek help. Okay, so a lot of people say, I have heard this from other co-professionals, they say, if we seek help, what will be the impression of us as a therapist? If I'm going to seek help as a professional, what is going to be the impression? So this is something that I want to say, that it's okay to seek help. Even as a therapist, as a mental health professional, it's fine. Go and find an expert who can also help you deal with your challenges as you are trying to deal with somebody else's. And if nothing, then go talk to your good friend, your besties. Talking to our best friend is the best therapy ever, not just for professionals, this means for everyone in general. Just having an open chat, sharing what you're going through every single day, and the challenges that we face every single day. Just talking it out also gives us a lot of relief, and this is something that can work for a lot of things. So at times it is very difficult to share what is actually going on, and we can maintain the confidentiality and share. But very important is managing timelines. As a therapist, make sure that we must always say no if we can't, reschedule if we can't, turn off the phone. You can't be available all the time to when you can't be there for someone, and you have to say no. Being assertive is very important. And if you can, remember one movie which talked about lot about therapy and the therapist. The therapist also had a lot of challenges, and that was brought out in this movie, where it's okay not to have a perfect personal life, but a counselor, a coach, or a therapist can be a wonderful therapist, irrespective of how they are in their own lives. And it's very important to be doing a lot of self-reflection as a therapist. Look inside and see what is happening. Every day make notes about how did you feel in the session. Did I get carried away? Did it also trigger my own emotions? Be soft on yourself. Be caring to yourself at times. And like we always tell the people that we deal with, to focus on self-care, do a lot of self-care for yourself, even after a lot of sessions. It can be fatigue related. So do a lot of self-care that helps you do a better job with your clients and the people we help with. And very important, please also do a lot of support groups. Like we have support groups for people who are dealing with anxiety, depression. There are support groups for therapists. So those who are into therapy or in counseling, there are support groups where we can participate. Stand up and say it's okay to be not okay, even if you're a therapist, and come for events like Kucha and talk, because when we talk our heart out, it's also a therapy. I'm definitely feeling lighter today by sharing my experience.